This video contains elements that are not suitable for children under the age of 14. Viewer discretion is advised.
Every once in a while, you get that one song charting on the Hot 100 that seems really bizarre and out of place. Not because of how good or bad it is, but because of how soul-bearing it is. Pop music, by design, is something you're not usually expected to think too hard about, and so when the charts produce something so personal and revealing that you can't believe a mass audience actually bought into it, well, I'm not going to say that automatically makes the song great. I'm just saying there's a correlation. As I watched her grab the year of 2019 by the balls and proceed to make it her bitch, I couldn't help but shake the feeling that Billie Eilish's entire persona was built around masks. It was clear that her career was based around the concept of hopping in and out of different identities showing the full spectrum of Gen Z teenagerdom, including the good, the bad, and especially the ugly. And let me just say up front that she has always, from the very start, been exceptionally good at it. Billie Eilish gets stereotyped as a shameless self-insert for teenage girls going through their emo phase with nothing else to look into beyond that, but that mindset is one of the grossest mischaracterizations in the history of pop music. The masks that Billie wears in her music may be reflections of the various facets of teenagerdom, but she inhabits those masks so seamlessly that it seems like that must just be who she is in real life. I may know that Billie Eilish isn't really a paranoid schizophrenic whispering to the monsters under her bed or a horrifying soul eater who's gonna try to seduce my dad, but not only did she play those characters, she brought me into their world in both the best and worst possible ways. And by all outward appearances, it would seem that When the Party's Over is Billie Eilish finally dropping the mask and singing to the world as her true, unfiltered self. I mean, just listen to it.
I could lie, say I like it like that, like it like that.
On pretty much every level, this song is as close to objective perfection as it comes. This is, bar none, the best use of minimalism I have ever heard in a song, hit or otherwise.
Call me friend, but keep me closer. And I'll call you when the party's over.
The silence and empty space isn't there just because the producer was lazy and didn't want to fill in the blanks, it's there because it's the right artistic choice. Every moment of this song is carefully constructed to let the weight of every word sink in, echoing around in your mind. And those words paint one of the most heart-wrenching reflections of a lost love that I've ever heard. I'm not even going to analyze the lyrics here. Hell, it feels sacrilegious to even analyze the sound. Nothing I can say will do this song justice if you haven't heard it yourself. And if you do go listen to it for the first time after seeing this, I recommend doing so in a dark room with your headphones on and immersing yourself in it completely. When the Party's Over is a masterpiece, and it's this song which truly reveals that underneath the masks, Billie Eilish is one of the most poised, mature, and emotionally deep-reaching songwriters of our day. Or at least it would be if she had actually written it.
Quiet when I'm coming home and I'm on my own.
Yeah, Billie didn't actually write this one. When the Party's Over is, as a matter of fact, one of only 2 songs on the album that was not written by Billie, but was instead written and produced alone by her older brother Phineas. I do have to admit that a bit of that pure auteurist magic was lost when I came to that realization. I genuinely thought that this was the real Billie we were hearing, when in reality it's just another mask. But here's the thing, I believed that it wasn't. Even if her creative input on this song was limited in reality, Billie was still able to sell it so convincingly that I could hardly believe she hadn't written it when I looked it up. Billie Eilish has many, many strengths as an artist, but if I had to point to her strongest asset, it would be her complete mastery of inflection, the ability to completely sell a song through tone and delivery alone. Honestly though, a close second to that would probably be her knack for music videos, as she came up with the concept and plot for this song's music video herself, and the two are are indelibly linked together. The image of Billie Eilish sitting alone in a white room as tears of black ink stream down her face is an iconic, generation-defining image from an age where it seems like music videos had forgotten how to do that. Anytime I find myself worried that the pop scene is in trouble, I remember that the game is being dominated by Billy and Phineas, and my faith is restored. They deserve every Grammy they got, and I can only pray that they continue to lay claim to the 2020s.
Like it like that.
Even if the sky is falling down, you'll be my only, no need to worry. Baby, are you down, 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 down?
You know, it's kind of hard for me to believe that I still have 4 more spots left to fill on this list after When the Party's Over, especially since I said in that last entry that When the Party's Over is pretty much objectively perfect. Here's the thing though. You might remember that earlier this year I called another song objectively perfect. That song being Rather Be by Clean Bandit.
There's no place I'd rather be. No place I'd rather be.
I said in that segment that the song reminded me of a beautiful painting in a museum, and I feel the same way about When the Party's Over. So let me put it this way. Let's say that somebody offered me a choice between a priceless piece of classical artwork and a really soft, really comfortable, really fuzzy blanket. Sure, I could hang that piece of artwork up on my wall, look at it for a while, and appreciate the incredible artistry, impeccable detail, and insane level of care and technical mastery that went into every minute detail of it, but most of the time I just prefer to be warm and cozy. And this song is my blanket.
Nothing feels better than this. Nothing feels better. Nothing feels better than this. Nothing feels better.
I've gotten really analytical lately, haven't I? Seems like every time I talk about a song on one of these lists now, it can't just be about the piece of music and what works or what doesn't work about it as a standalone entity. I have to find some way of tying it into some sort of wider conversation or using it to make a larger point. I mean, I enjoy doing that. I think it's really interesting, and I think it's kind of become part of my brand to go in deep and overanalyze things for an absurdly long time, but can I just not with this one? Please?
I'm not so harder than that. I swear to God, from my feet and lift the ground.
I don't want to break down why Better by Khalid was one of my favorite songs of the year. I don't want to have to explain the scientific principles behind why this amazing blanket is so warm and fuzzy. It's just fucking cozy, okay? Just let me have this.
We don't gotta hide. This is what you like, gotta make.
If I had my way, I would just use this segment to play the entire song for you. Just let it wash over us so that we can all be warm and cozy together, and you'd understand why it's on here. Unfortunately, I can't do that because I would get a copyright strike for using that music to make my point. Even though we are living in a reality where a friend of mine got his channel hacked, and whoever's running it now frequently uploads 40-minute long Family Guy compilations which are able to stay up completely uncontested and rack in more views in a week than my channel has gained over its entire existence, but I digress.
Nothing feels better than this. Nothing feels better.
If you really want an analysis from me, all I'll say is that certain songs are so good that they make you want to shut off your brain and not think about them at all, and Better is one of those songs. I already gave it a detailed analysis in my spring rankings, so you can go watch that, but to reiterate the main point I made in that video, this is the song that I always knew Khalid had in him. I can honestly say that I really like this guy even after what he forced me to do, and that is really saying something. A great artist and a stellar song. Keep up the good work, man.
Travel car, gun kinda crazy. She's poison but tasty. Yeah, people say run, don't walk away.
Alright, time for me to slap all that hate out of your voice.
You good, T-Minus?
Turn my headphone down a little bit. Yeah.
I am not a J. Cole fanboy. I honestly barely even knew who the guy was before this year. To me, he was just a big name rapper with a devoted following. That's it. I listened to some of the stuff off of KOD and it did absolutely nothing for me. And then I later heard some of the stuff off of Forest Hill Drive and I really liked it. So my thoughts on the guy on whole are pretty neutral. I don't go into any of his songs with expectations leaning one way or another. That said, when I listened to Middle Child, which is J. Cole's biggest ever hit, I immediately fell in love with it. The identity and background of the man who made it was a non-factor to my opinion of it. I immediately knew that it would be one of my favorite hits of the year, and I frankly kind of expected everyone else to be on the same page. That is not what happened.
Niggas been counting me out. I'm counting my bullets. I'm loading my clips.
I've been watching people react to this song, and the overall reception to it has been mixed to negative, which is not something I saw coming at all. Do you know how many people I saw putting Middle Child on their worst list? Because I counted, and let me tell ya, it was a lot. Thanks, 21. Yeah, Middle Child seemed to be perceived as an embarrassing misfire in the community on whole. And I heard similar things about J. Cole's high-profile guest verse on 21 Savage's A Lot. That song on whole was still pretty well received, mainly because the fucking bank account guy decided to suddenly get really good out of nowhere. But again, people really didn't know how to react to J. Cole's part. And I think the main factor that caused this shift of opinion is that J. Cole decided to start preaching.
I'ma make sure that the real gon' prevail, nigga.
The common thread between Middle Child and A Lot is that J. Cole has positioned himself as an arbiter of truth, a mediating force of logic and reason in an era of division who's just calling out bullshit where he sees it on all sides. The verse on A Lot is focused on the optics of success, how it can be faked, and what the prospect of earning and holding on to it can do to an artist and the people around them. Fairweather friends will abandon you if you start to look like you won't be someone whose coattails are easy to ride, and you have to compete with people trying to use gimmicks to use the record industry as a quick cash grab by gaming the system with viral marketing. Meanwhile, Middle Child is a commentary on Cole's perceived view of himself as, well, the middle child of the rap game, able to bridge the gap between the older and newer generations of rappers and foster respect and understanding between the two while being on the lookout for anyone who's not respecting the cultural importance of hip-hop as an art form. Now, on the whole, I think the reason people turned on J. Cole this year can be boiled down to three main factors. The first reason is that they thought he just didn't sound good. His flows were underwhelming, and the production on Middle Child in particular was not good. I honestly don't know what to say here except that I disagree.
Promise I am never letting up. Money in your palm don't make you rich.
The closest comparison I can think of for Middle Child's sound would be Hotline Bling, because I do concede that it does sound kind of cheap and chintzy, especially with those horns, but it just kind of comes together for me and has this charm that I'm really not sure how to explain. Cole's flow is swishy and melodic, and T-Minus's beat is intriguing enough to be engaging while still taking a back seat to Cole himself, which I think was the right choice. It really shouldn't work, but I think it succeeds in creating a vibe that's really easy to get lost in. By contrast, Cole's flow on A Lot isn't particularly flamboyant, but it is certainly fast and clean, and his wordplay is impressive.
I don't want no more comparisons, this is a marathon, and I'm aware I've been playing a bet from a lack of promotions. I never was one for the bragging and boasting.
And of course, he really isn't even the star of the show, since 21 Savage comes on and absolutely kills this song. His dead monotone works exponentially well as he discusses all of the terrible things he's seen and had to do in a bored, almost passive tone, signifying how all these things are just part of his daily routine and he hardly even notices it anymore, which makes it all the more shocking.
My brother lost his life and it turned me to a beast. My brother got life and it turned me to the streets.
Also, the production builds on an amazing sample and provides an awesome groove while fitting flawlessly, but that's pretty obvious just by listening to it. The second reason people have turned on Cole is because they see him as disingenuous, out of his depth, or even hypocritical as he talks about all these positive changes he wants to see in the rap game while also bragging about how awesome he is and picking fights with other rappers on the song.
If I smoke a rapper, it's gonna be legit. It won't be for clout, it won't be for fame, it won't be cause my shit ain't selling the same.
And as far as that goes, I've gotta be honest, I just don't care. I don't know if my previous picks on this list have clued you into this, but I'm getting awfully tired of the never-ending cavalcade of bullshit that seems to be seeping out of more and more facets of modern society by the day. One of the reasons I take music so seriously is because it's a fun and digestible medium time through which to call this bullshit out. And simply put, I think J. Cole's music this year did an excellent job at that. Much like Cardi B on Clout, I haven't personally looked into how hypocritical Cole was being, and I wouldn't be shocked to learn that there really was something there, but that really doesn't bother me if the words he's actually saying strike a chord with me on a personal level, even if it is just in a vacuum. And I have to say, as someone who's working my ass off building a YouTube channel consisting of 40-minute long high-quality video essays that take weeks of hard work and dedication to create, and then sees channels like Watch Mojo pumping out 5 soulless countdowns a day and being rewarded with hundreds of times as many views as I'm getting, yeah, I'm gonna find it cathartic to hear Cole call out people who are just playing the system for profit rather than making art for the sake of love and passion. And as someone who has immense respect for the review channels that came before me who have inspired my work and even given me shoutouts, and now tries to pay it forward by promoting smaller channels that deserve even more attention, yeah, the sentiment of being the middle child in the game does strike a chord with me, and I'm not gonna apologize for that. And the final main reason people took issue with J. Cole on these songs are these lines.
Had a long talk with a young nigga Kodak. Reminded me of young niggas from Ville. Straight out the project, no faking, just honest. Paper Takashi, they wanting a rap. I picture him inside a cell on a cot, reflecting on how he made it to the top, wondering if it was worth it or not.
Yes, on not one, but both of these songs, J. Cole gives a direct shout out to an up-and-coming rapper who is a known sex offender. And look, I get why this struck a nerve with so many people. Kodak Black and Tekashi 6ix9ine are two of the worst human beings in the music industry, and I can see why any mention of them that isn't an unequivocal damnation might rub people the wrong way. But the thing is, he's not condoning the shitty things that they've done. In fact, he's kind of doing the opposite. With Kodak, Cole is just saying that he respects him using hip-hop to confront his own demons, while saying outright that he wished he had more guidance to help him deal with those demons.
Straight out the project, no faking, just honest. I wish that he had more guidance for real.
And with 6ix9ine, there isn't one sympathetic word said towards him. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned from Kesha, there's a pretty damn big difference between praying for someone and condoning their actions.
Yeah, 2 of his kids with him right in the studio, that's when I knew. Stand up nigga, I love seeing shit like that.
So, in summation to everything, I do believe that J. Cole was one of the best aspects of the 2019 pop and hip-hop scenes. I know that I'm in the minority for thinking this, and I do at least understand where the other side is coming from. Clearly his approach didn't strike a chord with everybody, but it definitely did with me. Middle Child and A Lot meant more to me than just about any other song to hit the top 20 this year, and I am very interested in where this direction will lead J. Cole headed forward. Oh, and last but not least, fuck Ice. That is all.
Money in your palm will make you real.
You down, even if the sky is falling down like she supposed to be.
Look, for all intents and purposes, my top 2 songs on this list are essentially a tie. Both of these last 2 songs I'm talking about were so important to me and I hold so dearly to my heart that either of them could have easily topped this ranking. But putting a tie for number 1 is just not something I'm willing to do. So this is what we got.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Surprise.
Nothing. Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
I had a plan to deal with this song. Of course, you all know that if you've been watching my seasonal top 20 rankings. I've talked about this song twice, in the summer and in the fall, and in both of those rankings, I only talked about it for a very short time. That's because, given what this song is and what it represents for the world of pop music, I felt like it wouldn't be fair to try to condense a total encapsulation of this song's significance and appeal into a single 2-minute long segment in a top 20 ranking. Instead, I was going to create an entire separate video essay breaking down every aspect of this song's appeal, its history, and its impact on popular music, and to use that separate video as a substitute for this entry on the list. That was my plan for the longest time, and it was only in the past week, while writing this list, that I decided that it wouldn't be necessary. And I decided that because that video already exists, and it's called the Grammys performance. I know that it's common fare to shit all over the Grammys, and there are many good reasons for that, but you know what? In this performance, they nailed it. They managed to completely capture everything magical about not just Old Town Road the song, but Old Town Road the phenomenon. It starts out humbly, with a normal guy sitting in his living room plucking away at a banjo. He quickly manages to get into his groove, finding a rhythm while the producer sits in the next room over, separate from him, but still clearly doing a lot of the work. And the next thing you know, boom! BTS is there, and two of the biggest worldwide sensations from opposite ends of the globe have fused together into an awesome remix with a totally new flavor. And before you even have time to process that, boom! Now he's jamming out in a barn with a 13-year-old kid who got big off a viral video of him yodeling in a Walmart, but is still staged with the same importance and weight as the worldwide superstars, as Nas X backs him up while one of the biggest producers in the world is plopped on a hay bale just backing them up. And last but not least, boom! In an angelic choir of epic proportions, Billy Ray Cyrus ascends from on high, decked out with badass shades, hat, and guitar. And this man, who's been seen as a washed-up joke for the past 2 decades, becomes the coolest man on the planet as he growls out the iconic bridge that vaulted this goofy but earnest viral hit to record-breaking success. The song plays out with all of these different personas, worlds apart but common in their love of the art, singing out that chorus one last time. They said it was a joke. They said it couldn't be done, and they were wrong. This 19-year-old kid, with no prospects for the future and nothing to his name but a talent for music and social media, pulled himself up by his matty black bootstraps and made an empire for himself in less than a year. And it was all built on that one single glorious phrase.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Can't nobody tell me nothing. The motto of our generation. We don't care what the prior generations were doing, and we won't be governed by what traditional wisdom tells us is impossible. We're gonna take the Old Town Road, paving our own path and doing things our own way. The institution wants to tell us that this song doesn't belong on the country charts? Well, screw them. We'll just make it the biggest hit of all time on the general charts. The industry decides to wait until after Thank You Next had run its course before they push out their new singles? That's fine. We'll just block half a dozen radio-friendly, industry-driven hits from the #1 spot, with this team up between a gay black teenager in a cowboy hat and the achy breaky heart guy. You want to try to tell us that genres need to stay completely segregated lest they become a shapeless, formless mess? Well then, let's boost up a song that is quite possibly the best fusion of country and trap ideas that's ever been conceived. Driven by half a dozen iconic hooks, an infectious bass drawl, and delivery filled with punch and grit that sounds just as good after 100 times as it did after 1 time. Old Town Road, through a perfect storm of ideas, trends, concepts, and history, has become the quintessential anthem of Gen Z. And the best part is that it was all 100% accidental. Like I said in part 1, Lil Nas X didn't walk onto the scene with a grand plan to change the course of pop music as we know it. He's just a kid who had a cool idea for a song. An idea which grew larger than he possibly could have imagined, but which he was happy to ride for all it was worth. Old Town Road was 2019. And the only reason that it doesn't have an ironclad grip on the #1 spot is because there was a song this year which was able to speak to me so personally that I couldn't put it anywhere else but the top of this list. But we'll get to that in just a moment.
I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride.
Before we get to the honorable mentions, I would like to give a super special awesome shout out to my supporters on Patreon. I'd like to give an extra special shout out to my $5 supporters whose names are scrolling up the screen as we speak, and an extra special shout out to my $10 supporters including KFW, Pullin Pong, Tim Shoop, Jeremy Sherman, Moment Reviews, Cyril LaFonde, Pierre-Lou Lang, Flarbu, Yoshi EX26, Liam Kinch, Mike Duggar, Nick Cage, Luke Newman, Kumarai Fang, and Fox Navarro. Keep in mind that if every one of you guys watching could donate just $2 per video, I would be able to make YouTube content full-time, and you would get to vote in my patron pick to decide literally any music in the world that you'd like to hear me talk about next. These donations are a massive boon in helping me run the channel, and they allow me to continue to do big, awesome, amazing, stupid things with every new video. Full disclosure, I've actually already spent my entire payout from the first video to fund something pretty big that's going to be happening in an upcoming video, so stay tuned for that one. And with that seed of intrigue planted in your mind, let's wrap up the honorable mentions.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me?
Kind of in a similar boat to Bad Guy, this wasn't really something that I ever went out of my way to listen to, but I do find it extremely impressive on a technical level. And I find it even more impressive that Billy and Phineas were able to get something this out there to hit the top 20. Now, here's something that I did go out of my way to listen to, which I can unequivocally say is easily in the top 3 songs that both artists have ever made. I seriously considered breaking my rules and putting this on the proper list, because this song was number 64 on the Rolling Stone year-end list, but it wasn't even close to touching the Billboard year-end list, and so per my rules, it's not eligible. If it were eligible, it would be number 3. And this would have been number 4 if it was eligible.
Gotta blame it on the goose, gotta blame it on my juice, baby.
Honestly, with the exception of Old Town Road, Baby Shark, and Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, I think Juice illustrates the failures of Billboard's chart methodology more clearly than any others. Because literally everybody knows and loves this song, and yet it couldn't get any higher than number 82 on the charts, despite getting a ton of radio play and commercial exposure and selling 1 million copies. I don't care how you twist the numbers, there is no way that Juice charted lower than Out of Luck by Lil Tecca.
True hurts needed something more exciting.
At least Lizzo had one proper song on the year-end list. This one still hasn't grown back on me yet, but it will. Trust me. There was about a week or so after this song dropped where it hit me so hard that I considered it to be one of my favorite songs of all time. That gleam has faded by quite a lot, obviously, but every so often the light hits it in just the right way that I can see a bit of that old magic glinting back at me, and it is beautiful. Dan and Shay may kinda suck, but this is still really good. I stand by it.
This is God's country.
Yeah! Jesus! Jesus! Jesus!
I am forced to failure, my nigga, I got drip. Ashing on your bitch, this that Pokemon trainer shit.
If there were any justice in this world, this song would have been a smash hit.
You got plans tonight.
This is the best version of that one song Zedd has made 6 times.
Just because it's over doesn't mean it's really over.
This is the second best version of that one song Zedd has released 6 times.
This broken silence by thunder crashing in the dark.
I don't think I've heard a song this fun to clap along with since We Will Rock You.
So I just gotta run back to the ocean.
Seriously, why did we stop giving Miley Cyrus hits the exact second she got good?
Yeah, Hollywood is bleeding, but we call it home.
I think that this should be the new theme song for the planet Earth.
I got home.
Look, obviously I don't have time to go into all the reasons why this song is such a legendary masterpiece, so instead, let's just take a moment to count down the top 5 most legendary moments from the censored version of this song.
I got coach calling. The young Shaq was far. Where's Ollie with the dog? And she ain't even let you know. Young Shaq was something like the green goblin. Oh, fuck. Shoot.
Ooh, baby, I'm dancing with a stranger.
Hey, remember that one time I said Sam Smith was my least favorite singer currently working? Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to pull out my reverse card on that one. I don't know when exactly the shift happened. All I know is that I absolutely could not stand him a year ago, but I'm totally on board with them now. This is the standard that all duets should be judged by. The interplay is real and creates a layer of complexity that allows it to apply to several separate situations without being vague. And that's on top of just sounding great. The production is atmospheric and beautiful, and Sam Smith and Normani, despite having completely different presences, somehow complement each other perfectly.
Baby, how do you see when you lie to me?
this was my final cut from the list. This is the song that made me realize that Sam Smith has always had a really solid emotional core going, they just needed some better production behind them, and this song delivered in spades. That vocoded build-up into the final drop is one of the best moments in pop music 2019.
Tell me, how do you?
I can't believe that I'm actually looking forward to what Sam Smith does next, but I guess that's just 2019 working its gray magic for you. Nicely done, Sam. Keep up the good work.
Tell me, how do you?
And now, let's close this out with one last, very special honorable mention.
Yeah. Gone on you with the pick and roll. Younger Flame, he in sicko mode.
Sicko Mode is the best song on the Billboard 2019 year-end Hot 100. Those of you who have been following my channel since late 2018 have watched me go on an odyssey with this song, watching me evolve from not getting it at all, to slowly coming around to it, to really getting into it, to ultimately recognizing it for the masterpiece that it is. Technically speaking, this song was on both my worst and best hit songs list last year, and its placement on the latter is the reason that it doesn't feel right to put it on this one. However, with the benefit of hindsight, I can now say that Sicko Mode is not just the best hit song of the year, but one of, if not the best hit song of the decade. The fact that a song this creative, this multifaceted, this grand in ambition and scale managed to top the Hot 100 is a greater testament to the evolution of pop music than anything else I've seen on the charts. There are many, many songs on this list that I hope to one day call influential, but if we manage to end the 2020s with just one more song in the mold of Sicko Mode, I think that 2018 might just have been worth sitting through after all. Alright guys, I've got a confession to make. I'm one of the 3 people left on Earth who hasn't seen A Star Is Born. I should probably get on that.
Tell me something, girl. Are you happy in this modern world?
Okay, this is kind of an obvious note to start out on, but who the fuck knew Bradley Cooper could sing?
In all the good times I find myself longing for change.
I mean, there are obviously many factors that elevate this song above being just a vanity project used to promote a movie, but at its most basic level, this song would not have worked if Bradley Cooper didn't have a really nice timbre to his voice. And to get the obvious joke out of the way, yes, it is absolutely hilarious to say that, technically speaking, Rocket Raccoon now has more #1 hits to his name than Nicki Minaj, One Direction, James Brown, and Bruce Springsteen put together. But yeah, on the purest level, this song is what it is. An Oscar bait song from an Oscar bait movie. This makes the song, at its base level, essentially a piece of marketing, which does make it kind of bizarre when I call it my favorite hit song of the year. But like I said, I don't know the context of the song in the movie, and frankly, I'm not sure I want to know. Because regardless of what purpose it may have served in promoting the movie, Shallow transcends any boundaries set by this status to become a grand, epic, and moving opus that touched me deeply from the first moment I heard it. I was initially afraid that my appreciation for this song was largely based on novelty, since it was a #1 hit that did so many things that I've been yearning to see on the Hot 100. It's a deeply personal ballad that relies on the chemistry between the two performers, which, if you've seen the live performance at the Grammys, you'll know they have that in spades. Its lyrics are simple and to the point, and the song is carried by the vocal performance of its two leads. I already gave Bradley Cooper his props, and as for his partner, I mean, it's Lady Gaga. She doesn't need me to vouch for her pipes. After I've been going on about the decline of rock for years, this song bursts out of the gate with a hearty injection of folk rock grandeur tinged with country influences. And in an era where it seems like every other hit is trying to play down to the mood of the time and hit a chilled out, relaxed mellow, this song dares to rise and explode. Single best moment in pop 2019, I swear. All of these aspects drew me into the song immediately, and rather than fading away as the novelty did, they only grew stronger with each repeated listen. This already would have made Shallow one of my favorite songs of the year, but it was only after I started paying attention to the lyrics that I knew that this song would take the top spot on this list. If you've picked out one singular theme from this list, it's probably that the world has really been stressing me out as of late, and the songs that speak to me about how to challenge or deal with some difficult aspect of the world are the ones that end up making it onto the list. And I'll be upfront with you guys, in a few months, I'm gonna be graduating from college, and after that, I don't really know where life is gonna lead me.
In all the good times I find myself longing for change, and in the bad times I fear myself.
As someone who's been fighting a long battle with depression, anxiety, and doubts about identity and self-worth, the truth in that line strikes me like a dagger to the chest every time I hear it. I am a completely different person than I was 2 years ago, and who knows where I'll be 2 years from now. I'm about to start life as an actual, full-fledged adult, and I'll be honest, that scares the crap out of me, because I've barely just started figuring myself out as a person. Simply put, I'm about to leave the shallow.
We're far from the shallow now.
And yet, in spite of all the fears that are eating away at me as I worry about where my life is gonna go, this song takes these sensations and morphs them into excitement. Because yes, starting adult life is terrifying, but it's also thrilling. I'm about to begin a brand new chapter of existence. I've got huge dreams, huge ideas, and huge plans, and whenever I hear this song, I get pumped up to realize all of them. Shallow is the anthem for the mindset that I need to tackle one of the biggest transitions in my life. It begins by opening me up, confronting my fears, and bringing me to a vulnerable place, and then from that vulnerable point, it raises me back up, pumping me up and telling me that I am going to look the future in the eye and kick its ass. One listen to this song gets me hyped up to grab my future by the reins and decide where it takes me. Here I am, standing on the cusp of the rest of my life, ready to take a deep dive into whatever comes next as a crowd cheers me on and the thunderous swell of the guitars gets my blood pumping. It's a sensation that I wouldn't trade for the world, and it easily meant more to me than any other piece of music this year. Shallow by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. The best hit song of 2019.
We're far from the shallow now.
I'm Sean Fay-Wolfe of Diamond X Studios. The year-end ranking will be out soon, and until then, take care of yourselves.
Now I let me down to sleep. Hey, I pray to Lord my soul to keep. Yeah. Like a locksmith, I got the key. Yeah. Pull up, make all niggas bleed. Hey, I got water like overseas. Hey, bitch, how about like NBA? Hey, bitch, how about like MVP? Hey, I got money that you envy me.